Gambia, Angola, China Holding, GASH, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. JARJU'S tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at BANJUL. We are also producers of JARJU'S mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. GASH, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. GASH Group also provides the best security company, GASH Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. GASH Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact GASH on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at GASH Global Group on Bertel Harding Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, GASH.
It's a warm reception to our studio here in Serekunda. This is 30 News with me, Jacqueline Coley. In the headlines tonight, National Unity Party unveils presidential candidate. Drivers' general strike begins on Monday. IEC discovers almost 3,000 double registrations. Police launch hunt for USMAN JARJU'S suspected killers. September 11th attack, U.S. Embassy pays homage to 3,000, including Gambians. On the international scene, Afghan-Pakistan border trade already thwarted as crisis looms. UN warns Afghanistan at risk of total breakdown. DR Congo, rebels group members seek amnesty and reintegration. Those were the headlines and other news in detail. The National Unity Party has officially unveiled Abdoulaye Ibrahima Jammeh as its presidential candidate. Maria Madem reports.
The National Unity Party, under the leadership of a former civil servant and one-time Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Ousmane Jammeh, was established in 2018 and registered with the IEC in October 2020. The national chairman and the leader of the party, Ousmane Jammeh, gave reasons for the establishment of the party.
When the party was conceived, the cardinal philosophy of the founders was to build a people's movement with a shared vision and interest in national development, and to create a merit-based government as opposed to party affiliation. To set the standards, a resolution was adopted at inception that none of the founders shall vie for the positions of chairmanship of the party or presidential candidacy. The founders also enshrined the issue of term limits in the party's governance structure.
He said the party's flag bearer will not stand for more than 2 terms, both in the party and as president of the Gambia when elected. This, he said, portrays the party founders' belief that the ownership of the party rests entirely on the collective entity of its bona fide members. The National Unity Party's presidential candidate for the forthcoming election, Mr. Abdoulaye Ibrahima Jammeh, was the Director General of the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority for over 9 years and has been in public service for over 30 years.
After a careful review of the party's guiding principles and the manifesto, my buy-in was total, and I gladly accepted the challenge to be the flag bearer. It is my fervent belief that the great minds leading NUP, coupled with the revolutionary policies and ideas in the manifesto, and my 35 years of public service, provide a winning formula that will transform this country. At this point, I wish to share with you.
Mr. Jammeh said when elected, his government will develop a roadmap for the rejuvenation of the country's economy and institute a debt reduction plan to enhance domestic resources mobilization by lessening the corporative tax on businesses and expanding the tax base to enrich compliance. This, he believes, will ease the burden on businesses and encourage investors to empower the country's business sector. He noted that his government will introduce a 10-year zero tax on businesses with a capital investment of $250.
Actions we take today will determine the future of our homeland, the Gambia, and the future of our children. It is not about being the best. It is about being better than we were yesterday. When we began the search for a flag bearer to lead the NUP in the December polls, we set the bar very high with regards to the qualities.
Mr. Jammeh said his government will prioritize quality and affordable education for all, as no sustainable development can be achieved without education.
Mr. Jammeh has a long career in the civil and public service, spanning over decades of selfless service to the people of the Gambia. In the process, amassing a wealth of experience in leadership. He attended Muslim High School and Gambia High School, where he obtained his honorary and advanced level certificates, respectively. He later proceeded to the Glasgow Caledonian University in the United Kingdom, where he acquired a postgraduate diploma in Information Systems Management and a master's degree, MSc degree, in development management.
He stressed that fighting corruption will be one of the main priorities of a national united party administration. This, he added, would be done through the establishment of an anti-corruption commission. He also spoke about his intention of providing solutions to a wide range of issues such as health, youth, women, children empowerment, sports development, security reform, tourism development, agriculture, transport, among others. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
After weeks of negotiations, the general strike called by the Gambia Transport Union will go ahead as planned. Darucham explains.
The country's umbrella transport organization has for the past few weeks been involved in talks with the government. The negotiations revolve around the union's 6-point demand to the government. The Gambia Transport Union is agitating for the allocation of commercial garages across the country, approval of its proposed national tariff, reduction of the Senegambia bridge toll fees, harmonization of Afric Passage Gambia Limited, introduction of a queuing system for transit goods at the port in Banjul, and relief of restrictions on Gambian passenger vehicles at the borders. The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Transport, Mot K. Sise, told Star TV last month that since the union had agreed to negotiate with the government, there was no threat of a general strike, but the threat of a general strike with a potential of paralyzing several sectors of the economy is low mean large. The president of the Gambia Transport Union, Omar Sise, said despite the possible ramifications of the general strike, it will go ahead as planned. Barely 3 days before the proposed driver strike, Star TV shot the opinions of the people in the street about it all. Bright Ofiri Hanfor is a final year student at the Gambia at the School of Nursing in Banjul, and he is apprehensive that the planned strike will seriously affect most of their final year activities next week.
It will affect me. Even without them going for the strike, we've been suffering. Getting to Banjul, sometimes you come here in the morning to get a vehicle. You stay here unless you pay like $50 or something to get to your destination. But going for a strike, it will be very bad. It will affect us in so many ways. Because next week even we have a psychodrama and we have some stuff we have to do in school. So if they go, it will really affect us a lot.
Mary K. Baji commutes to work, and despite expressing concern over the proposed strike, she believes the blame for the strike cannot be placed squarely on the soldiers of the drivers.
Down strike is going to be another disaster like what happened when the nurses went on a sit-down strike, and we don't want something like that to keep repeating, because who knows after the drivers who else will sit down? Maybe the workers, maybe who knows who else will want to sit down on a strike just to, you know, to get their voices heard also. I don't think it's a solution though, but I don't want to blame the drivers because this is where they earn their living as well. And we all know the fuel cost is very expensive. Like mostly even when you bought a vehicle, if they tell you the transport is $10 or when they increase it, you cannot argue further because they base it on, you know, expensive fuel and all that. They don't even give you your coins back for change.
When asked about the impending strike, member of the Council of Elders at the Bakau Garage, Ibrahim Jaite, went on the defensive.
Going on. Secondly, the petrol prices are skyrocketed. It is very high, $55 for some petrol stations for a gasoline. So it's not easy for drivers. We cannot make ends meet. You know, at the end of the day, you walk, you know, you buy petrol, and then most of the time when you give the owner of the car what you guys have talked of, then there is nothing left. This is one reason why the drivers keep chopping down the areas that they go. Like they don't go direct to Brikama, because if you do that, Westfield Brikama $18, that's not good for your petrol at the end of the day. You know, it takes you 5 to 10 minutes from here to Tabokoto. But during the day, it takes you 45 minutes to reach Tabokoto. So all that 45 minutes is your gasoline that is, you know, that is going on. So it's like you are going to fall at the end of the day.
It's not only the economic well-being of the country that's normally affected by such strikes, but they wreak untold hardships to the common people as well. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Dada.
The IEC says it discovered almost 3,000 double registrations in the past general voter registration exercise. But how is the Commission going to deal with this? More in this report.
The IEC explained that though some of these double registrations were of technical and human errors, others were deliberate. Palmer Khan is the Director of Training and Public Relations at the IEC.
You know, it's a biometric system. So once you register double, then the computers will pick up those doubles. So I think we had almost 3,000 doubles which were detected. But actually some of those doubles also were relating to the work of the team. As you know, sometimes the team would make errors here and there. So, but once somebody was registered and because there was an error, the person was registered again, so this will be captured as doubles. And also some of the staff, you know, they did some training before they started the field work. So those staffs that trained and used the machine were also captured as doubles. You see, so this is why the figure is so inflated, up to about 3,000, actually 2,996, I think. So these were the issues. But then also there are people also who registered deliberately double. They registered in one or more polling stations. So
how does the election house plans to deal with this situation?
The doubles actually would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Because some, of course, they are due to technical problems, or some they are due to operational problems. Okay, but also some we know then they are deliberates. They are deliberate doubles. These are people who deliberately register in one or more, in more than one place.
Is there any incentive for deliberate double registration? IEC's communications director again.
Double registration, actually, this criminal act is an offense under the electoral laws, and it is punished. Actually, but the commission would come up with a decision as to whether to prosecute or whether to whatever the commission would do. So the commission would make a decision. It's a criminal act and is not allowed under the laws.
Meanwhile, one would have thought the relative uptick in the number of aspirants for State House could serve as a money-spinning venture for the Independent Electoral Commission, but it's not so. The upcoming December general election would be the first after the fall of former President Jammeh, but already the political terrain is getting groovier. Close to 10 political parties have registered with the IEC since the departure of former President Jammeh, raising the tally to around 20. What do these relatively booming times for political parties mean for the IEC? At least a economically.
I would say that like the fee for registration of a political party stands at $1 million. And even though some of the recent political parties didn't have to pay, because normally it's when you come as a new political party is when you pay, but the existing political parties don't have to pay. Like some changes were done, some amendments were done in the electoral laws in 2015. When some of the issues were amended, some of the laws were amended. So this included the registered political parties. So in effect, it means that parties that registered before 2015 or parties that were already existing didn't have to register again because they are already existing as political parties. So they didn't have to pay.
In fact, despite the growing number of political parties expressing interest for State House, the IEC Communications Director explains that it's only few of them required by law to pay a fee.
The new parties which came up like up to 2015, those like the GDC, the NUP, and just recently the ANRD. So those people were the parties that paid the $1 million to be registered. So
Reporting for Star TV News, I am Jacqueline Coley.
The police have launched a hunt for suspects in the gruesome murder of the 27-year-old USMAN JARJU. A native of Jalamba village, JARJU was allegedly stabbed to death last Wednesday around the Palmarima beach. The police said in a statement on Friday that the suspects took to their heels after the attack in an attempt to rob the deceased. The police confirmed recovering a bag from a street at Bakote containing a Gambian passport, Gambian national ID card, vaccination card, and GT Bank ATM card, all bearing the name of the deceased. The police also confirmed the recovery of an envelope containing a notebook, air tickets, and boarding pass at the Bakote football field, and again, all bearing the deceased name. It's highly probable that the suspects may be residing within the Bakote area and surroundings, the police said. In this regard, members of the public, particularly those people who reside at Bakote and surroundings, are urged to volunteer information that may be useful for the quick apprehension of the perpetrators of this heinous crime, the statement added. The U.S. Embassy in Banjul has paid homage to two Gambian nationals who died in the infamous 11 September attack. More in this report.
Mohamed Jawara and Karamo Pereira were honored among 3,000 who lost their lives in the attack on the World Trade Center and America's institution of state. As the U.S. marks 20 years after the attacks in Washington, D.C., New York, and Pennsylvania, the U.S. Embassy in Banjul held a remembrance ceremony for the 3,000 people who died in the attack. Jason Willis is the Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Banjul Embassy.
Today, we mark the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks and mourn the nearly 3,000 lives taken too soon. The people who perished were citizens from over 115 countries, including the Gambia. Today, we honor all who died, including Karamo Pereira and Mohamed Jawara, both sons of the Gambia. These people left behind loved ones and communities who are never again the same. We honor their memory on this solemn occasion and all we lost on that terrible day. We recognize, too, the heroes, first responders, and service members who have sacrificed to keep Americans safe. Our appreciation and respect are immeasurable.
The diplomat said U.S. is grateful to her allies the world over for their support following the attack.
To note this somber anniversary, we also mark the end of America's longest war in Afghanistan, a war that began in the difficult days following the attacks on our homeland 20 years ago. Building on the lessons of the last 2 decades, the United States pledges to sustain an agile approach to counterterrorism that uses a diverse range of tools, not just the military, as an option of first resort. Among these tools is investing in diplomacy, development, and prevention efforts, both at home and abroad, that can change environments in ways that make it harder for terrorists to thrive and recruit. We are grateful to our allies worldwide who stood with us at our most difficult moment 20 years ago and continue as our partners. Our commitment to them remains unshakable. Days like today remind us of the importance of international collaboration against acts of global terrorism. The United States remains committed to working with its local and international partners and attaining the future we all want, a future of peace and security.
Mariam Adem reporting for Star TV News.
Those were the local stories. The international news will come up soon after the break.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. JARJU'S tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at BANJUL. We are also producers of JARJU'S mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gosh, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gosh Group also provides the best security company, Gosh Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gosh Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gosh on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gosh Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.goshglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh.
Welcome back after a short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is Star TV News from our studios here in Serekunda. And now in the internal news, as a humanitarian crisis looms in Afghanistan, border trade with Pakistan could play a crucial role, but corruption and smuggling are slowing the flow of goods and leaving tons of much-needed food rotting in trucks. Al Jazeera's Osama Ben Javed reports from the Turkman crossing.
Amid looming uncertainty in Afghanistan due to the withdrawal of foreign troops and the Taliban gaining territory, Pakistan aims to complete the fencing within this year. As border management measure, almost 90% of the 2,670-kilometer border with Afghanistan has been fenced with a view to checking illegal cross-border movement and preventing the militants' infiltration. The Interior Minister says the remaining 10% fencing will be completed in the next 3 months. The fencing began in 2017 following a series of deadly attacks on Pakistani security forces by militants from across the border. Experts say the barrier will also help block smuggling, illegal crossings, and mainly prevent cross-border militant attacks.
We are 100% prepared because of this border management system, and fencing is the major part of this border management system. We have this formidable obstacle placed between both the countries. Had it been the situation 2 decades before, we would not have been that much secure and feeling safe now.
But an influx of refugees into Pakistan seems inevitable. As the Taliban continue to capture key Afghan borders, escalating violence and security concerns, several Afghans are trying to flee into neighboring countries. Pakistan already hosts over 3 million Afghan refugees, and experts say if the situation further deteriorates across the border, this figure will increase massively. Except this time, Islamabad does not appear in favor of opening its border. In case the Afghans seek refuge in Pakistan, the government would not allow them to sneak into cities and would confine them to refugee camps to be established in the Pak-Afghan border areas in an organized manner. The situation in Afghanistan remains volatile as war between the Taliban and Afghan forces intensifies. And as the Taliban try to seize provincial capitals one after the other, the government of Pakistan has given a clear stance on the Afghan peace process that the only good outcome for Afghanistan is an inclusive government. Meanwhile, the armed forces of Pakistan have completely secured the border and stand prepared if a situation of civil war erupts across the border. Daniel Khan, CGTN, Torkham, Pak-Afghan border.
Afghanistan could be less than a year away from a 97% poverty rate. That is the stark warning from the UN Development Agency as it calls for urgent efforts to bolster the economy. It says the country is at risk of total breakdown without international help to keep money flowing in. Al Jazeera's Christine Salome reports from the United Nations.
The Security Council began its day at the 9/11 Memorial. The U.S.-organized event included a tour of the museum documenting the attacks and served as a reminder of the horrors that led the U.S. to invade Afghanistan. But the international community is now dealing with an Afghanistan without the United States, being governed by the Taliban, many of whose members are on a global terror watch list. The head of the UN's assistance mission in Afghanistan pointed out that will require some uncomfortable choices.
Billions of assets and donor funds have been frozen by members of the international community. The understandable purpose is to deny these funds to the de facto Taliban administration. The inevitable effect, however, will be a severe economic downturn that could throw many more millions into poverty and hunger, may generate a massive wave of refugees from Afghanistan, and indeed set Afghanistan back for generations.
Pointing out that the leaders of the new interim government remain under international sanctions, she stressed the importance of the UN in delivering aid and also in ensuring human rights, particularly for Afghan women and girls. Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai reminded the Council that education is a universal human right.
A united Security Council speaking with one voice for girls' education can compel the Taliban to make real concessions. This is vital not only for Afghan women and girls themselves, but for long-term security in the region and our world.
The Council is currently reviewing the UN's future role in the country. The mandate for the UN's assistance mission in Afghanistan expires in just a week. While Council members debate the mandate's renewal, they'll be grappling with matters of life and death, including human rights, humanitarian access, and the protection of civilians, including women and girls. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, the United Nations.
Let's speak to Charles Stratford in Kabul for us. Charlie, the UN painting a very alarming picture of the humanitarian situation in Afghanistan. To what extent has it become worse since the Taliban takeover? Okay, Astrid, thank you so much for talking to us about this and painting the situation there, the picture of the situation in Afghanistan. Astrid Sletten, Country Director for Afghanistan with the Norwegian Refugee Council, joining us there from Kabul. Thank you for your time.
It is estimated more than 120 armed groups operate in the mineral-rich Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. The government has been struggling to disarm, demobilize, and reintegrate thousands of fighters into the community. Al Jazeera's Catherine Soy has this exclusive report from an area still under the control of one of the oldest rebel groups in Ituri province.
A checkpoint on the way to Geti in Ituri province tells you that you're entering the territory of a rebel group called FRPI, or the Patriot Resistance Front of Ituri. They hold an area that is rich in gold and collect taxes from one of the busiest roads. Rebel commanders at their headquarters discussed the state of emergency declared by the government in May and a truce they made to keep the peace here.
We are a trained army like any other, and we know the rules. We are using these rules to protect our population.
They are also eager to display their forces. They tell us these fighters are only a fraction of those in their ranks.
This is one of the oldest rebel movements here in Ituri, controlling a huge territory. One of their former leaders, Jermaine Katanga, has even served jail term at the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. The new leaders say they want to change the face of the group. They say they want to lay down their arms, but they also want amnesty and to be reintegrated into the army.
FRPI was among the first armed groups to sign a peace deal with the government and agree to a disarmament and reintegration program which has largely failed. Those involved in a new process say thousands of militia have already surrendered, but the challenge is how to have them reunite with the community.
We know what failed before. Please, there is not going to be amnesty. This is one key element. There is not going to be reintegration within the security forces as a key element. And for the cantonment, it has to be the shorter period possible. So which means that everything has to be ready for the cantonment to be a very short time, because the reintegration piece within the community is the most important.
Some of the armed groups are nervous about the new conditions.
If the government wants to change anything in our previous agreement, it will require everyone with whom we signed to come back and explain clearly the changes, especially where it concerns us.
Up to a dozen armed groups continue to terrorize villages in Ituri. People here tell us they're worried that if disarming the rebels fails again, then their problems will only get worse.
If the government will not agree with the rebels, we are afraid they'll go back to the forests and start terrorizing us again, looting our property.
The fighters say they don't want to have to return to the trenches, but any program to disarm them has to be agreeable. Catherine Soy, Al Jazeera, Irumu territory in Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
And before we end the news, a recap of our main headlines. National Unity Party unveils presidential candidate. Drivers' general strike begins on Monday. IEC discovers almost 3,000 double registrations. Police launch hunt for OUSMAN JARJU'S suspected killers. September 11th attack, U.S. Embassy pays homage to 3,000, including Gambians. On the international scene, Afghan-Pakistan border trade already thwarted as crisis looms. UN warns Afghanistan at risk of total breakdown. DR Congo, rebels group members seek amnesty and reintegration. That's all for this edition of the news. Join us next week for more news. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Thanks for watching and bye for now.